Charming personality, good looks,
Physique.
and he had a full head of hair back then, which is amazing. When I asked him what his big life goals were, what he wanted to do in life, and I knew he had just graduated from Brown University, so I was already swooning. And he was barely 20 years old, and he had deferred his banking job at Morgan Stanley. He promptly answered, "I'm going to figure out a way to make a lot of money and help a lot of people."
Oh.
So, fast forward a couple of decades and some change later, minus the full head of hair. He's still pretty much the same guy that I fell in love with. He is doing exactly what he told me he would, and I am exactly where I need to be next to him, supporting him in this organization, the efforts that he puts towards this organization that means a lot to us. So I would like to introduce my selfless, generous husband, Sangeeth, to say a few words about Think Together.
Well, you don't know the real story. She is really the better half. So she is amazing, and thank you, Sindhu. We wouldn't have been able to put this event together without your help. And if you've noticed how pretty and stylish everything looks, that's definitely not me. I'm wearing a t-shirt. You know? that is definitely Sindhu. So thank you all for being here. It's really an honor. I'm quite flattered at the turnout. It's really quite great on a nice day like this that you've chosen to spend with us. So the reason that I support Think Together, when I was growing up, I really struggled with a lot of learning disabilities. And it was my public school teachers, my community, my parents that really supported me when I struggled. And if it wasn't for them, I don't know where I'd be. And so I joined the board of Think Together to be able to help other kids have the same opportunities that I did. And so it's really been a privilege to serve on the board and to work with such a great organization. But before and I'll tell you a little bit more as we go on today, but in my opinion, Think Together, and I've done a lot of research on this, it's the most impactful education nonprofit in the country. And it's also probably the largest nonprofit you've never heard of. And that's why we're doing these events. We want to try and change that. And we've been doing events in LA, Palm Springs, Orange County to kind of spread the word about Think Together. But before I get into Think Together, I wanted to thank a couple people. Sindhu, thank you so much for putting all of this together. Let's give Sindhu a round of applause. And hopefully you guys like the drinks. Sindhu's interviewed quite a few bartenders.
That's my favorite job.
And once she's settled on the drinks, she's been going through iterations of the hibiscus cocktail to make sure it's not too sweet, got the right amount of spritz, right amount of alcohol. So hopefully she did a good job there. So I'm a teetotaler myself, so I don't have that benefit, but hopefully you guys are all partaking and enjoying that. I want to thank Farah. Where is Farah? There she goes. She's got the video camera. She was instrumental in putting this event together. And our whole Think Together staff. If you guys have questions, please reach out to them. Most of them have name tags on. Raise your hand if you work for Think Together. So, please reach out to me again.
Oh God, look at my name.
And I also want to thank my fellow board members. We have Leonard Spicer here. We have Victor Chang. We have Julie here. We have Dale Hurd. We have Bill Tamblin. Did I miss anyone? All right, so that's all our board members, so thank you so much. And I also wanted to thank a lot of the electeds that we have in the room. I'm very flattered that they came to spend their time. I know how busy they are. They have their day job meeting, working on policy, and then they have to meet with constituents, and their nights and weekends are all filled, so it's an honor that they're here. It's great. I saw Assemblymember Mark Berman here, Senator Cortese. We have Betty Yee here, who was our former state controller and recently just announced her candidacy for governor, which is phenomenal. We have Marianne Duan, the superintendent of the San Mateo County, Santa Clara County Board of Education, and many of the board members. And we have Senator Cortese and Assemblymember Ash Kalra.
Supervisor Cindy Chavez.
Yes, Supervisor Cindy Chavez. Yes, former Mayor Sam Liccardo. Supervisor Simidian is here. Bill, anyone else that I missed? And Bill is the president of the Santa Clara County Democratic Party. So thank you for all your service. So, anybody else, Bill?
That's all I see.
All right, well, so thank you for that. And there's a couple people that are running that I wanted to mention. So Jorge Pacheco is going to be running for Santa Clara County Board of Education next year. And then a race that's very close to my heart, Jessica Spicer is also going to be running for Santa Clara County Board of Education. She's currently the president of the Los Altos School Board, and I have the honor and privilege of being her campaign manager for this race. So thank you for all of that. All right, so Think Together is a large organization, and we're trying to help kids, and we're trying to do this at scale. So there's three parts of the organization. The first part is our expanded learning area, and this is where we provide early learning, after school, summer school, high school programs, and we do this at hundreds of sites all across California. The second big area that we work in is our talent collaborative. So Think Together is the largest expanded learning provider in the state, but we are a fraction of servicing the schools in the state. But we can't serve every single school district, but every single school district needs help. And so what we've started is a staffing organization to help recruit, hire, and train staff and place them in school districts when we're not able to work with them directly. And the last but not least is our Orenda School Improvement Division. We know we can't reach every single child through directly through after-school programs. And so what Orenda does is work with teachers and administrators to transform entire school systems as a whole. And today we are serving over 200,000 students in 600 sites all across California. And you may be wondering, if we're so large, why are we just focused on California? The unfortunate reality is 1/3 of the low-income children in the country live in California. And our board decided we wanted to help the greatest amount of children. And we concluded the best way to do that is to focus on California and expand. And we can serve a lot more children by staying in California than working nationally. At some point we will work nationally, but that is years away. For the time being, we're very, very much focused on California. Now I'm going to hand over the mic to Richard Tran. He runs our Bay Area programs. We are in San Jose Unified, Oak Grove, we're in Alum Rock, and Newark. Richard?
Thank you, Sam. Good evening, everyone. My name is Richard Tran. I proudly serve as the General Manager for Think Together's Bay Area region. Thank you for being here tonight. We're happy that you're spending the evening with us. Thank you for letting me share a little bit more about our Bay Area programs with you. In the Bay Area, like all of Think Together, we're continuing to expand our work, serving 32 schools, including our newest district partner, Oak Grove School District in San Jose. We are proud to serve over 3,000 students in the Bay Area, and we work with each and every one of our students to support them in their school life and in their home life as well. We know in this post-pandemic world that students now more than ever need the academic support and mentorship from Think Together. I'd like to zoom in on one student in particular, Gabriel. He's one of our 5th graders at Schilling Elementary. Last year was the worst year of his life. He got into a devastating car accident, was in a wheelchair the entire year. He lost his ability to speak, and if that wasn't heartbreaking enough, he was heavily bullied by his classmates. So completely lost, feeling alienated by his own community. Last thing on his mind was his schoolwork. His grades plummeted. this school year, as a way to help build his social skills, his parents enrolled him in our Think Together program. And it has been night and day. This is actually Gabriel on the slide here. He's the big guy in the middle with the black t-shirt. He's not with tiny fifth graders. He's actually one of our student leaders. So actually, after he finishes his homework, he goes and he supports our TK kinders with their homework as well. So complete transformation. He's completely opened up. He loves coming to program every day. He loves coming to school every day. And guess what? His grades have improved. Right? At Think Together, we have a huge focus on academics, right? We know that this is a catalyst that can support our students with changing the trajectory of their lives, right? We know that. We also know that in order for a student to learn, they have to feel safe, right? They have to feel cared for, right? And Think Together, we support learning by providing access to high-quality educational opportunities, but we also support our students by providing access to caring adults who listen, who encourage, who bug our students when they don't want to do their homework and make them sit down and take it out and sit down, who hold them accountable to their creativity, who hold them accountable to their intelligence, right? So this last year, it's been a huge privilege for me to be even a small part of Gabriel's journey, to watch him transform, to go from the periphery, from the outskirts, right to the center, right? To being happy at school, to being successful at school, to being surrounded by peers, classmates, adults who really care about him. Tiny little fans, right, in our program who care about him. And that's why we're here, right? This is what it's about. It's about changing the odds for kids, changing the odds for Gabriel. I just want to thank you for just letting me jump in real quick and share this story with you. As I pass it back to Sang, and as Sang outlines the dire state of education that we are facing, the millions of students that he's referencing that are in need of a program like Think Together. Each one of them has a story. Each one of them is a Gabriel, lost, alone, just needing a safe, supportive, enriching environment where they can transform. So, as our fearless leader and CEO, Randy Barth, always says, it takes a village. I'm very proud to be a part of this village with all of you. Thank you very much. If you guys have any questions about our programs, want to see any of our programs, please come find me. I'd be happy to connect. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Richard. You know, earlier I was talking about when I struggled, my parents, my public school teachers, my community, really caught me and brought me up. And that is what Think Together is. A lot of kids like Gabriel, they don't have the safety net. My parents fortunately had, relative to my need, unlimited resources, and that really helped me. And so this is where Think Together comes in. We catch kids. And I just realized, I forgot to thank Victor, who's on our board as well. And we all actually have to thank Victor quite a bit. About 6 months ago, Victor called me and he said, I think the weather is going to be really bad on May 6th. That's when the original date for this party is going to be. And it was raining last week. And he asked us to move it to May 13th. And so it's thanks to Victor that we have this sunny day tonight. So, we talked about Gabriel, but let's zoom out a little bit. There are millions of Gabriels in California, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a primer on California education. And a lot of you guys know me as the numbers guy, so bear with me a little bit. I'm going to geek out a little bit and talk about California. So, California, we have 6 million children in our K-12 education system. And today, the unfortunate reality is, about 2/3 of those children, about 4 million of the 6 million kids in our K-12 education system are below grade level. And what's even more saddening is that 2 million of that 4 million are severely below grade level. They're effectively failing our schools. And our society is not doing right by those kids. And this is what Think Together wants to do. We want to change the odds for those kids. And our biggest focus is those 2 million children that really need our help. So how do we do that? There's 2 primary ways that you want to accelerate learning and catch kids up. The first is increased time. And there's really no substitute for this. Kids need more time, especially after the pandemic. So many kids are really far behind. There's a lot of kids, in this community, if our kids are struggling, we'll get them tutors, we'll get them extra help, we'll do whatever is needed. But a lot of kids don't need that. So time is really, really critical. And the other area is when our kids are learning, we really need to make the maximum use of that time. We want to improve the efficacy of that time. And this is what Think Together is focused on, time and efficacy. And that's why I'm excited to be on this board. So let's dig in a little bit. So first on the time side, what does Think Together do? Our after-school programs are our largest programs. We work with kids throughout the school year, 3 hours a day, every day of the week. And we're in 600 school sites. And due to our size, we have the best programs in the country. We have the scale to look at data, to have the best curriculum, to have the most innovative curriculum, to hire and train the best staff. And that's what really makes Think Together so special. We have a hardworking staff of close to 5,500 employees. But our staff, stays with us generally a year or two. A lot of times they're college students that come work with us part-time, and then they go on to their next job. So that requires us to train and hire a lot of people, and that's really, really hard. But despite all of that, we've been able to hire, almost 4,000 staff this year to be able to educate over 100,000 students. And what our staff does is we provide over 100 million hours of additional instruction and time for our kids. Just think about that, 100 million hours for a nonprofit organization. And that is what Think Together is doing every day. And the program was started 25 years ago when there was a school shooting in Shalimar. And Randy and Mary Barth, who are here, they founded the organization. Randy, to this day, after 25 years, runs the organization. And he founded this organization, and from there, it's grown to what we have today. And some of the success stories are truly amazing. America today is a Think Together alumni. She's an Emmy Award-winning TV producer. Ever is a doctor at UC Irvine. And the story that I'm most proud of, and it's most personal to me, is Paulo Leon. Paulo, he was in that first school in Shalimar. He is today an architect in Orange County. But more importantly, he is on the board of Think Together. He's been serving on this board with me for close to a decade, and he joined the board so he can help other children the way Think Together helped him. So yes, you can clap for that. So this is what we're trying to do. But despite our scale, we cannot reach all the millions of kids in California that need help. We have hired thousands of staff this year, about 4,000 employees. To do that, we have 75 full-time recruiters on staff. To be able to hire that many people takes a lot of resources. And most districts are not able to hire what they need in terms of getting recruiters to hire the staff that they need. But there's a lot of districts in need, and we can't serve all of them directly. So we have started the California Schools Talent Collaborative. What we do is we recruit, hire, and train staff, and we help place them at school districts, and we partner with school districts. And there are about 150,000 positions that need to be filled. So this is a gargantuan task that school districts need help with. And if you're curious on the structure of this, this organization is helped run by Think Together, a separate entity, but is in partnership and owned by school districts. And the structure is a JPA type structure, if you're familiar with how school initiatives work. And so that is the second initiative that we have. We can't serve all the districts ourselves, so we're going to help other districts help themselves. Now, the third area, and this is the area that I'm most passionate about, after school programs, summer programs, we can't reach every single child. There's not enough money to go around, and even if there was, not every child is going to partake in those programs. Their parents may not be interested, the child may not be interested, they may be busy, they may have transportation issues. So this is where Orenda comes in. And imagine if you were a school administrator or a superintendent, and you could have a system where you could make sure that no child falls through the cracks. Using data, you can make sure that every decision in the classroom, in the school, in the district, helps those kids and make sure no kids are left behind. And that is what Orenda helps school districts do. And we call this an acceleration system for schools and districts. So we start by helping school districts and principals collect data and set goals. Then we train educators and admin. We monitor that progress in real time. And then we help them iterate and continue this cycle. And it creates this continuous feedback loop. So when a child is struggling, or a teacher is struggling, or a principal is struggling, the administrator sees it, the teacher sees it, and they can change in real time and help those students. The organization was founded by Robin Avalar LaSalle. If you haven't met her, in my mind, she is the brightest mind in education in California, if not the country, and I very much encourage you to speak to her. And so this Orenda, we think, is quite transformative, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what Orenda does. So let me give you an example of when Orenda works in a school district, what can happen. So I'm going to talk about Hoover Street Elementary. This is in MacArthur Park in LA. And this is, I think, the #1 crime block in LA, if not one of the most crime-intensive areas. The students in this school, it's around a 99 or 100% below the poverty line. This is a K-8 school with about 800 students. And on top of this, about 95% of the kinder students that enter Hoover do not speak English. So this is about as hard as it gets. So when, before Orenda and Robin's team started working with Hoover back in 2009, about 25% of the kids there were at grade level. And that's the green line that you see on the chart. And if you look at the rest of California and LA Unified, the low-income students in California, they were around 30-35% proficient. Today, over 65% of the students at Hoover Elementary are studying at grade level. And unfortunately, for LA Unified and the low-income students across California, the results are about the same. And let me dig into the data here a little bit. You see in the middle that the test scores kind of dip. This is when the Common Core curriculum came into California, and this is a much more rigorous curriculum. And this really exposed the weaknesses in our school systems. Low-income school districts have really struggled with a more rigorous curriculum, whereas high-income school districts like Los Altos, didn't really make that much of a difference. But within a year, the scores at Hoover bounced right back because they had a really good system in place that Robin and her team had helped develop. And then what's more interesting, if you look 2019 to 2022, what happened in between there? There was the pandemic. And this was really, really hard for school systems, especially low-income school systems. And what you'll see across the country, same as LA Unified, same as California, our students struggled and the test scores dropped. But the scores at Hoover actually went up. And what's amazing about this story is Orenda left this school about a decade ago. And the results have stuck. The principal that implemented all these changes also left 4 or 5 years ago. And everything has stuck. So the thing with education, anything in government is a bureaucracy. And I always say the bad thing about a bureaucracy is nothing changes. The good thing about a bureaucracy is nothing changes.
Right.
So if you can put in the right systems, you get permanent systematic change. So when we talk about changing the odds for kids, this is what we're talking about. And imagine if we could help every school, every district in California. This is what we're trying to do. So let's give a quick round of applause for Hoover Street Elementary. So the Orenda model works, and we've tested this in hundreds of schools, in numerous districts for over 25 years. But we want to help all the kids in California. And like I mentioned before, there are millions of children that need our help. Fortunately, not only does the Orenda model work, it is extremely scalable. One Orenda achievement specialist can train 15 admin and 160 teachers in a given year, directly impacting 4,000 students. And the reason they can do that is our achievement specialists, they're the best and brightest in education. They have 10 to 30 years of experience. These are school superintendents, district office staff, teachers, and they are amazing. And this works out to a cost of about $300 per student. And that's a one-time cost. It's about $75 a year for a 4-year implementation. And like Hoover, that school is permanently changed for generations of students. And that's why this is such a scalable system. And about 80% of the funding for Orenda is already funded with existing funds. So the model is extremely scalable, and we don't need that much philanthropic support. The dollars largely exist for this already. So how do we get this from Hoover and the districts that we're working in today to all of California? Let's see. Next one. All right. So what we're trying to do is make this system, we're calling this an acceleration-based system, versus the existing school system today is a remediation-based system. Unfortunately, kids start out behind and they stay behind. We want to change that. And so the 2 million children I mentioned that are in the greatest need, they're in about 2,500 schools in California. And what you see with any new methodology like Orenda, you need to get to about 15 to 20% of a market where everybody starts copying you. And for us, that represents 400 schools, and that's what we're trying to get to. In our first 20 years with Orenda, we worked with about 50 schools. The last 5 years, we've grown that to about 200. We would like to get this to 400 in the next 5 years. And the faster we can do that, the more kids like Gabriel we can help. And this is our real goal with Think Together, changing the odds for kids for the state of California. And our mission statement internally is Project 2 Million. This is the 2 million kids in California that are dramatically below grade level that we would like to help. So this is where we would love your help. If you know any superintendents or school districts or board members that could take advantage of Think Together's programs, even though we're large, a lot of people haven't heard about Think Together. So whether you need help with expanded learning, summer after school programs, or you need help with staffing and you'd like help with our talent collaborative, or you would like to put in a system with better efficacy to improve outcomes for your children, your low-income children in your school, definitely reach out to us. We have a lot of staff here. We have Robin on the Orenda division. We have Randy, who founded the organization. We have Katie, who runs our development arm. We have Tia, who has about 6,000 people reporting to her. It's amazing. So we have a lot of people here. We would also love a little bit of your philanthropic support. We have a very efficient model using public dollars. We can fund the majority of our operations, well over 90%, but there's some things that we can't get with public dollars where we really need the public-private partnership. And this is why I love supporting Think Together. I get, depending on how you count the numbers, between 50 to 100x leverage on my personal contributions with government support. And so I think this is the best investment in education. This year, with our Raise a Hand events, so this is one of our Raise a Hand events, we've been hosting them around California, LA, Orange County, Palm Springs. Our goal this year is to raise $900,000. With our first 3 events, we've raised $618,000, and we'd love your support to get to $900,000. Sindhu and I, we're going to be personally contributing $100,000 towards this goal. And we would love your support at any level that is comfortable to you. If you have additional questions, reach out to any of us or any of the staff. We would love to host you on school tours as well and tell you more about Think Together. We have flyers with QR codes and envelopes, and we'd love your support, whether that's today or a day in the future. So thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. We're going to have dinner starting shortly, and I'm here. We're all here if you have any questions. Thank you so much.
I think dinner is already served and drinks are flowing, so please continue. We will turn the music back on.